Just jump in.
Yeah. So, what for you is the main aim of the sort of the Romanian or the Cultural Centre and the Raci Foundation? What do you feel is the main goal? Is it the promotion of culture? Is it helping out Romanians in the arts in the country?
Raci Foundation was the initial organisation, which was actually founded in 1979, and the object of the foundation, the mission of the foundation, set out in the statutes, was to help Romanians in difficulties and trouble. Mind you, we were talking about 1979. The curtain was in place, which involved helping Romanians who came to the UK. Which therefore included helping Romanian students who managed to get out, and also to publicise, if you like, Romanian history and culture. Okay. So those were the foundation objectives. When the curtain came down and Ceausescu and communism, well, as it was replaced by today's all but imperfect democracy. The foundation moved more to giving bursaries to students who came to Romania, to the UK. And also funding projects which related not only to culture but also to democracy, to like spreading the idea of democracy and how it applied to people directly, or how it could apply, how it should apply, and how to get people more more involved in the in civil society. In other words, understanding their rights and being able to assert their rights, whether they were people who were in trouble politically because of not agreeing with the establishment views, whether they were women, whether they were Roma. Whether they were any kind of ethnic group that was felt unrepresented. Yes. So that has continued through today. Yeah. So in Romania, for instance, now through the Romanian end of the foundation, which is called the Raci Democracy Centre, which is based in Turda in Transylvania. They have really three main strands to what we do there. Mm-hmm. One is transparency, political transparency, as in calling to account Romanian politicians who stand for election, and the promises that they make and do they deliver. And this is a nationwide exercise, which is, in fact, we're streamlining, working very hard on the website platform to have it really functioning effectively for these upcoming May elections. It already the program started a year and a half ago, with actually help from the U.S. Embassy. And that's one strand. The other is on youth participation, which is on the basis that certain generations in Romania, in Romania, the older generation, let's say 40 plus, is pretty well lost. Their heads have been so screwed up by communism, the legacy of communism, the continuing. Well, when communism, you don't just switch off the communism. sort of mindset
No,
overnight.
You can see that in Russia, can't you?
It maintains the traditions, if you like, of the way life is led, continues for many decades. I don't know how many generations. Hopefully, it's not too many generations. But so we have felt that the way to make a change is that if the youth, say teenagers, say 16, 17, 18, that sort of age, pre-university, but the last couple of years at high school, if we can get them to understand what it means to be a citizen and what it means to actually contribute and how to contribute to to improving their schools and as well the society, which might be the village, the town, the city, the area that they live in, to improve it and give them the tools as to how to do it, how to encourage them to do it. Do you think that's the youth engagement program?
Do you think Romanian teenagers are more politically turned on than British ones, or is it not really comparable to?
It's probably about the same. You'll always get sort of a class of sort of 25 people. You'll get 5 or 6 who are interested in getting involved, and the rest they're more interested in playing computer games or something. Fair enough, but that's normal. But I think there's I'm actually very encouraged by the enthusiasm that we've had when we started this program. It's also relatively new, and they're very keen, and they're really getting stuck in, and it's and interestingly, because you have to work with those sort of things. You have to work with the authorities. You have to work with the governors of the school, or the director of the school. You have to work with the municipality, and you're naturally going to get resistance because you're talking about changing something. But we've actually, touchwood, had quite a good response. We've had some, like with the political transparency thing, which is called Cine Promis, which means who has promised what. Wow. And some local authorities and so on, it's just like a brick wall. Others welcome it. Others reluctantly let you in, allow you to do the talking. Then the other thing that we do is we have there's an old brewery that we own, which is called the Free Time Factory nowadays, which is where there's all sorts of youth programs that are going on in there, which is like right on the ground, so grassroots level in Romania. That's all Romania. This end we organise the Romanian Cultural Centre. But actually, I'll stay with democracy because we have another program which is called the Ion Rațiu Democracy Award, which I can give you a leaflet of that. And that is an annual award that we give. We work with Woodrow Wilson Centre in Washington, and there we select, and the selectors are previous winners, plus a couple of members from our board and the head of the program at Woodrow Wilson and another guy in Washington who's our advisor. And we select somebody who, anywhere around the world, who has stood up for human rights and democracy in their own country. And we have various award winners, and sometimes we amend the objective slightly because of some particular circumstance. Like, for instance, doing Aung San Suu Kyi of Burma last year, because generally the principle is that the person we award, we bring them from their country to Washington, and then they're there for 3 or 4 weeks in Washington, and they're, via the Woodrow Wilson and their organisation, they're introduced to all sorts of NGOs, State Department people in their sector, and so on and so forth. So they end up there by the time they leave Washington, there's a workshop right at the end of the programme, which is at Woodrow Wilson Centre, and a lot of all the people they've met and other people come in, and there's a press conference and all that sort of stuff. But when they leave Washington, basically they leave with a network of people, organisations in Washington that they can call upon to help them in what they're doing if they get into difficulties and so on. So that's this year we hope. We're not sure who it'll be yet, but we will probably award somebody from Ukraine. We nearly did it last year, interestingly enough, but instead of it being there's a short list, and there was Ukrainian. Nobody particularly well known. And there was a Roma activist, like our last award winner was a Roma. She is Roma. She's by Angela Kokshi, and she's actually Hungarian. And she was our last award winner. And she's doing her workshop now in May, almost now, in Washington, because she couldn't actually do it last year because she was doing a fellowship at a university in the States. Because we also see that the Roma problem is one which is not really being addressed very effectively.
No.
People sort of
because it's
shove it under the carpet and pretend that it's not really there. But it's a growing issue not only in the origin countries, but also in the sort of the destination countries. And people are not really addressing it particularly effectively. And the EU is kind of rather at sea with it. So it just needs more work, which is why we awarded her. And then here at the Romanian Cultural Centre, we've carried on the idea. The Romanian Cultural Centre is funded principally by the Razzi Foundation, but we do have some membership. Some people pay membership fees. Some people. I'll call you back. And we get a few donations here and there, but also we get sponsors, people who sponsor the food and sponsor the wine and things like that.
Always get a wine sponsor.
And so here we do. We put on exhibitions. We have talks. Some of the scholars that the foundation gives scholarships to, they come, and when they graduate, or they do their PhD, their doctorate, whatever it is, they'll come and present their speciality. We have show occasional films, usually with the film director or the producers or something, to talk about the film. For many years we sponsored the Romanian Film Festival. We don't do it now; it's now been hived off. Because the idea of the foundation, one of the main things we try to do is we try to start things. Get seed funded. It's a bit like you seed fund a student, you seed fund a project. The idea that if that person can then carry on with the project and get fund it elsewhere and so on, so much the better. We're very delighted. It's the best. For us, that's success. We don't want to carry on with loads and loads of things. We want to kickstart things where they need kickstarting.
Sorry, could I just quickly ask you about how you feel with the press and sort of the immigrants, and how the press sort of portrayed the amount of Romanians?
I think it's pretty. Personally, I think it's grossly unfair, and I think and people who are Romanians. I'm half Romanian. My mother's English, but I've always identified, because my father was very active in Romanian politics, and so we were brought up in sort of a very Romanian household, even though it was in the UK. But the press is just nasty. Particularly the Mail and the Express. They choose, the nastiest stories to portray the Romanians. You never see anything positive in the press about anything Romanian, which is part of what the Romanian Cultural Centre is supposed to do, is try and do things that make people realise that there are a lot of good things in a lot of from Romanian culture, from Romanian history, and Romania's contribution to all sorts of things, whether it be in the arts, in writing, and even NATO, if you like. Romania is a very strong member of NATO. So during this last year, I've been inundated with people wanting to talk and ask me about the Romanian things. I've been on television a few times, stuff, usually just counteracting this stupid story that as from January the 1st, 2014, there was going to be 23 million Romanians pouring across the border. And but the irony was that there's a little bit in the press about how in fact they had a hard time finding anybody at the airport in spite of all the stories of overbooked flights and buses, people sitting on the roofs.
Did you see the video where they were interviewing people coming off the plane and they said, we already lived here for 10 years already. It's not.
And the Romanian, sure, of course there are a few bad eggs, there are in any nation, but most of the Romanians here who've come, they've come here to work, they get a job, and they're not. And this stupid thing about pinching British jobs, they're not pinching British, they're taking the jobs the British can't be bothered to do.
You're right.
It's the reality. It's if all the British were bursting to do the jobs, they'd do it. Yeah. And now the good thing is now because they're legal. So the incidents, because of course there was an incidence of sort of working on the black, of doing stuff, in building on the construction sites and so on, and people able to hire them for less because they weren't doing it without a workbook and so on. But that's now. That's now a thing of the past, because they don't have to come in with a contract. They can come in and get a job, and they take the jobs. Say nurses, construction workers. But that's the sort of the, if you like, the kind of the working man end.
Yeah.
As opposed to the ones who have come to university. Some of them stayed here. They have very good jobs in banks and insurance companies and so all around. They're just fully integrated, and those Romanians you never hear of.
No. Is the government in Romania worried about a brain drain or any sort of?
Yes, they do have problems, particularly in the health sector.
Really.
They qualify the nurses in Romania, and they hot-footed over here. It's the same with a lot of doctors.
Same in Spain.
They had the problem. They had a big problem in 2007, 2008 with construction workers in Romania, because there was a big sort of 2005, 6, 7. There was a big sort of boom, and they were positively importing Turkish workers to work in Romania, because the Romanian workers had all gone off to Spain and Italy. It'll blow over. In a way, it's already to some extent blown over.
It's good,
this anti-Romanian stuff. There's a lot less of it now than there was a month or 2 months ago.
Yeah, it's because it simply hasn't happened to the extent that anyone says, and
so it's just like a sort of yesterday's story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But we do have we helped raise some money for something called Ashford Place recently, which is they're up in Brent.
Yeah.
And Cricklewood up around there, and that's because there are quite a number of homeless Romanians, and of course that was when you see that, that's exactly the thing the newspapers want to come and take a photograph of. So this is we helped fund a centre there, manned by Romanians, who helped them get find them somewhere to live. Or put them up for the night, or give them a meal, whatever it is, and but also help them get registered so that they can actually go and get a job.
Okay.
And but it's but it depends on further people giving a bit of money to do it. We can't sustain something like that alone. So other people have to put their hands in their pockets.
I think one final question is there anything you're really the most proud that you've done with your work? Is there anything that really stands out for you? Or is it all of it encompassing?
I think it's the difference that we've made to a lot of people's lives in Romania, in Turda actually, at the Democracy Centre.
Yeah.
And also through a charity that we started there, which is Relief Fund for Romania, which operates in a different town in Bacău in Romania. It's called the Fundația pentru Sprijin Comunitar, the Foundation for Community Help. And both in their different ways, like that one has changed a lot of people's lives in getting kids into schools who wouldn't otherwise be integrated, helping a lot of older people who are completely had nothing, and that managed to get them to participate in and be helped through the community that they also helped themselves. If you like, so kind of creating a kind of a community that changed a lot of people's lives up there in Turda, changed a lot of people's lives who suddenly saw a completely different way of treating people and respect for other people's opinions and recognizing that they can change themselves and they can change other people's lives for the better, and that's been very gratifying to see. And it's also what's been created there because we work with a lot of volunteers there. There's a lot of the kids who joined us there as volunteers. They would be involved in a lot of these things, which might be theatre projects or debating clubs where they learn to sort of speak up and express themselves. Or it might be working with doing a play that went all the way around the schools to open the kids' eyes to the dangers of human trafficking. Yeah, because it's an issue there. Yeah. And those ones who came to join us and volunteer, they, in turn, would go back and they'd tell their parents about what they were doing. And then the parents would, their attitude would change slightly. Those people aren't just a bunch of rats. They're, they are actually, they're doing something good for the community. They're not just here to exploit us, which is the sort of attitude mostly towards foreigners coming in. I mean, we were not foreigners, but in a way we were, because we were sort of Anglo-Romanians. Yeah. So it's the change that I think quite a few thousands of people.
That's good.
Probably.
I think that's it. Unless you've got any questions.
No, that's good.
Well, you can have one of these, one of those little leaflets. I just saw this. I can't really give you these others. I can show you this. That's that thing I was talking about. The youth, the youth participation. What
is this on your website or is this?
I think that if you look on the CRD, if you look on the www, this one, that website. Okay, that one, you'll find some of this. Okay. But it's quite new, so it may not all be there. Okay. And that's the recent. We get applications for grants. This is all the. Well, we had recently a board meeting here, and this is this free time factory I was telling you about. Yeah. Which is the youth centre, volunteer centre, and. This is the youth thing. Your solutions, your democracy. Citizens in High Schools program.
Okay.
This is March the 12th beneficiaries of YSYD, 10 beneficiaries, and the citizens in high schools, 30 beneficiaries, attended a roundtable with local council, City Hall representatives. The activity was organised at the meeting room in the City Hall. A total of 40 high school students from 7 high schools in Victoria participated. The roundtable discussion was also attended by 4 local councillors, the Vice Mayor, and 1 representative of the Mayor's office, and 5 representatives of the local press. So you see, it works.
Yeah.
I just grabbed that upstairs. Another thing we do is the Transylvania Festival, and I think we're not going to be able to carry that on.
Oh, really?
This was one that was in Blaj back in 2011. Last year it was in Cluj, but I couldn't find the little leaflet. That was. It gives you an idea of what we.
Does Transylvania get good?
Goat cheese making process demonstration, cooking demonstration.
Does it get a lot of tourists, Transylvania, because of
more
Dracula?
and more? Well, pitifully because of Dracula. Dracula probably started off because of Dracula. No, actually more. No, less interested in Dracula now. Although obviously it's a good brand name.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go to I think the most visited site in Romania is the Bran Castle, which was the so-called sort of Dracula castle, but it actually had no connection to Dracula at all. But it looks kind of eerie.
Yeah.
Sort of up on a rock.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a crazy thing some years ago. What was it? About early 2002, I think, where they wanted to do a Dracula park, like a kind of a
like
Disney
a theme park,
and they wanted to do it smack bang next door to the beautiful old city of Sighișoara, and myself and quite a few others protested very strongly against it, and finally they dropped it. It was a complete nonsense.
It probably wouldn't have worked.
I thought it wouldn't. No. But no, people now go because of the beautiful fortified churches in Transylvania, which are sort of self-contained communities and so on. You can sort of bed and breakfast there, and it's a very sort of peaceful. People go to walk, to eat, to see these churches, to see the monasteries, painted monasteries. There's all sorts of castles, and it's very, like Prince Charles goes there. I know some people take him with a pinch of salt, but he goes there because it is unspoiled.
Yeah,
and he can relax there and enjoy the natural countryside and the sort of unspoiled sort of wildflower meadows and mountains.
It must be one of the few places in Europe that's
really like that. And amazing forests with bear and lynx and wolves and things. And more and more people are going for that, and the infrastructure to receive these people is improving. Personally, I don't want it to improve too much, otherwise you'll get great sort of busloads of going down these little roads and smashing everything up. But it is growing. We have a little sort of village that we built up in the mountains, which has 7 villas. It's up on the top of the mountain. It has amazing sort of views all around it. And it took a while to get going, but now it sort of now it works. Now it's sort of taken off.
Okay.
And we're doing another one actually near Turda. But so because more and more people are going, and we're doing a Transylvania festival actually quite soon, not here at the Romanian Cultural Institute, in Belgrade Square, May 13, 14, 15. And there'll be a couple of lectures and a concert and a dinner, and it's to raise money for another organisation that I'm a trustee of, which is called ADEPT. ADEPT is all about sustainable agriculture and supporting farmers to in the traditional ways of raising, of operating, raising farm animals or crops and so on. We're doing it in the traditional way. We're doing it, helping them do it in such a way that they maintain the quality, the organic qualities, and therefore helping them to then sell their products, because that was the problem when the EU came in. All sorts of regulations came in about cheeses and meats and so on that they were sort of, they don't know what the hell to do.
Yeah.
How to
package it.
How to get around it or deal with it. Anyway, so that it's gave them sort of if you like, instruction booklets as to how to do it. And so it's raising money for that. Actually, Prince Charles is opening it.
Oh, yeah. So you've met him a few times, right? Yeah. You know, personal friends.
No, I wouldn't say that. But maybe he'll become my closest personal friend after May the 13th. But he's very keen on Romania, and so that's why he supports it.
Yeah.
This is one of our this is very old, but it does. You can have one of these.
I mean,
This was, this is about 5 years old, I think, or more. No, it's for them. Yeah, 5 years old.
Yeah.
But we've moved on from a lot of it. Some of it is still, quite new. We could talk about the film festival that we did. So, yeah,
thank you very much.